Todd Maddox stepped out of the Eurocopter EC-155 and ducked instinctively as the rotor blades continued chopping the air above him. The flight from LAX in Los Angeles to Captain Roldan International Airport in Peru had been uneventful, and the copter ride from the airport to this unknown destination blessedly smooth. But discomfort struck him hard as he exited the copter's air-conditioned interior and entered the humid jungle air of eastern Peru's Amazon rainforest. His sunflower yellow shirt became like sticky wet papier-mâché, gluing itself to his body. His styled hair, held in place by a thick film of pricey Elnet hairspray, dissolved into a heavy goo that oozed over his forehead. Out of his dry Los Angeles element, Maddox grunted and cursed under his breath as he held tight to his briefcase and jogged toward the glass double doors that seemed so out of place in the thick green jungle. Doubt filled his mind as he neared the doors. Was this worth it? Could he stand all this heat and humidity? The pay would no doubt be amazing, and the company, Manifold, was renowned in the world of genetics. But the job description, well, there hadn't been one. Simply a 5-year contract and $10,000 for an interview. Take it or leave it. He hoped to learn more during this one and only interview, but if the work they wanted him for was anything less than groundbreaking, he'd be on the next flight back to sunny, dry Los Angeles. His job there with Cregen paid well and made headlines occasionally, but the chance to work for Manifold was too good to not, at least, consider. Of course, when he agreed to an interview, he had no idea it would take place in the Peruvian rainforest. The double doors swung open and Maddox ran through like he was escaping a torrential downpour, given the amount of moisture clinging to his dress shirt, beige slacks, and now slick hair. It wasn't much of a stretch. Inside the hallway, cool, dry air blasted from air conditioning vents along the ceiling. Maddox's forehead stiffened as the hairspray dried again, several inches lower than when it had first been applied. "Humidity does a job on each and every one of you metrosexuals the boss brings down here," said a deep voice. He looked at the man who had opened the door. He hadn't been spoken to with such disrespect since high school. He glared at the man through his Oakley black-rimmed eyeglasses. The man was tall, and given the bulges beneath his form-fitting black shirt, not a scientist. He filled his voice with as much disgust as he could muster and said, "Excuse me? I'm just screwing with you, man." The stranger slapped him on the shoulder, which hurt, and laughed. He extended his hand. "Oliver Reinhardt, head of Gen Y security here at Manifold Gamma." "You're in charge of this facility?" he asked, wondering if he'd have to put up with this goon long-term if he took the job. Reinhardt rubbed a hand over the back of his buzz-cut skull, letting the short hairs tickle his hand. "I oversee security at all the facilities, Alpha through Epsilon. I go where the boss goes." "Ridley?" "That's the guy." Maddox blinked. Richard Ridley reached legendary status when he formed Manifold 10 years previous, using a $3 billion inheritance. At first, no one took his company seriously, but then he began acquiring the best minds in the field, some straight out of MIT, Harvard, and Berkeley. The company soon flourished, making rapid advancements in the fields of genetics and biopharmaceuticals. "Richard Ridley is here?" "You're a quick one," he said with a smirk. "I can see why he hired you." "He hasn't hired me." Reinhardt stepped past him and started down the stark white hallway. "He has. You just don't know it yet. Come on, follow me." Maddox looked at the burly man's face. A scar ran down his cheek, but other than that, the cleanly shaven face looked, more than anything, young. No more than 30. Figuring the young Reinhardt got his kicks by pretending to be head of security and jerking recruits around by dangling Ridley in front of them, he said,